You know what they say. Every Dalek has its day. Classic Doctor Who review time. This was supposed to be last month's. I'm running behind, which means there will be another classic Doctor Who review out this month. I'm not putting the scarf on today. It's too damn hot. But we are talking about the Day of the Daleks. So this was Jon Pertwee, the Third Doctor's, his first encounter with the Daleks. And actually the first time the Daleks have been seen in quite a while at the time that this happened. It's kind of a shame they don't really need to be there. It's not a bad story as far as things go. It's a fairly solid little four-parter. There's some decent performances from both the Doctor, the companion, as well as the guest cast. There's some... I was going to say neat twists. Like, the twists are kind of predictable now. I think they probably went down like a little bit more of a surprise at the time because what it was doing wasn't something that had been done quite as much since. I'll get to that in a little bit. But it was pretty good. It was pretty solid. And the Daleks were just kind of shoved in there. Like, there's a completely functional plot here that doesn't need the Daleks at all. And it really feels like it knows it doesn't need the Dalek. They are really there for the cliffhangers only. Like, I'm barely exaggerating when I say the most substantial thing that they do in every episode is show up in the last 3 minutes so that the cliffhanger can do, the zoom in on a Dalek and then cut to the credits, with the wow sound right before the theme song kicks in. That's pretty much their role, is to just be the cliffhanger hook by their presence. And that's it. They really don't contribute. So, especially as far as like the grand return of the Daleks, it's a bit of a damp squib. Not gonna lie to you, but like as a story separate from them, it's decently solid. So basically, what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with sort of a different perspective on the would you go back in time and murder Hitler thing, because the Doctor and Joe, they encounter these people who are trying to assassinate a diplomat who is in the process of trying to manage and facilitate. It's kind of unclear exactly what's going on, but basically these really important peace talks and negotiations that if these things break down, there is a very good chance of a new world war happening. Stuff like that gets said a lot. It's a lot of telling without showing. It's a lot of like stuff over the radio for what's going on with all that. It's background flavor for the most part. But these people are from like 2 centuries in the future trying to kill this guy because they believe that he is at fault within the next few days of lighting the match that wrecks everything, like leads to massive fallout and just results in a horrible future where most of humanity is enslaved. And those who aren't are leading pretty fashy lives up at the top of the heap. The way the Daleks fit into this is the Daleks are like one notch above the people in charge. So like the people in charge are working for the Daleks, except they don't need to be. Like, all this story needs is this fascist future that people would go to desperate lengths to try and prevent. There's actually a really great line that I like, where the Doctor's talking about these assassins, because Joe kind of refers to them as thugs, and the Doctor was like, they're not thugs, they're fanatics, because it takes a fanatical person to want to go back in time and do something like this and think that this is their best option. And this is all very politically loaded, especially in the back end when the Doctor goes to this future and talks to, I believe his title is the Controller, pretty common one that comes up in Doctor Who conversations and stories. But, talking to him, and it's very clear how little respect the Doctor has for this man. And the Doctor sees him for exactly what he is, which is a fascist authoritarian. Like, he knows what this guy is, and he's not having it, which is good. That's inherently good. And like I said, the Daleks don't need to be, the story doesn't need them at all. So their presence is a little odd. I'm going to know one thing that frustrated me about watching this, but it's not the episode's fault. I watched it on BritBox, and the version they have on BritBox is the version that was released on the special edition DVD from a little while back, which means it has updated effects, which I don't like. Not that the updated effects are bad. I mean, they're pretty good. They're not so incongruent that they look out of place, except for like maybe a couple of shots. But like, I want to know what it looked like at the time. I don't want these jazzed up effects. I don't want this digital matte painting expanding the frame that I know for certain there was no way that looked that good. I want to know what it looked like at the time, and it really annoys me when BritBox or Tubi or whoever is streaming this stuff goes for those versions. That irritates me. So I guess that's just a general heads up as far as that goes. So the thing I kind of alluded to, and this is a little bit of a spoiler. I guess in theory it's actually kind of a major spoiler, but again, I think most audiences watching it for the first time now will guess at this, because it turns out that the diplomat that these people went back in time to try and kill, like, he blew up the house the negotiations were happening in and like killed all the other diplomats who were attending, and that's what set everything off. Well, what they realize is like this assassination team, like they've retreated, but one of them got left behind. They thought he died, but he didn't, and he's still going to try and execute the mission. And he doesn't have a lot of resources, but what he has is a bomb. And so the twist that I think a lot of modern audiences are going to gather is the recursive self-fulfilling time loop nature of it, which is that these people were going back to try and prevent a thing that is now only going to happen because they went back to try and prevent it. The explosion that's going to blow up the house and kill all these people and result in this horrible future is in fact a consequence of their actions that they took in trying to stop it. So it is interesting to see, especially like something in the 70s sort of playing with it like that. Cause I mean, it's before my time, but I feel like that kind of really entered the pop culture as a bit more of a mainstay in time travel stories with the first Terminator movie. But that might have just been like the real mainstream version of it. Maybe it was more common than I think. But I suspect it was a pretty clever twist at the time. And again, something that Doctor Who itself didn't really do very much, and also would not do very much later on either. The revival era since 2005 has done a lot more, like with the time-bendy, timey-wiminess we can mess with chronology and stuff like that. We don't have to be linear about this aspect than Classic ever did. But Classic did every now and then. And I add this to the very small pile of Classic episodes that actually kind of toyed with that a little bit, which is nice. The performances they're good. They're good across the board. There aren't really any stinker performances in this. The Brigadier is largely sidelined, but like in kind of an entertaining way. He's basically stuck on the phone for most of this story because he's trying to coordinate, everything that's going wrong out there. He's trying to coordinate responses and calm people down and explain to a minister what's happening and get these people to this place and evacuate this and like he's just stuck on the phone trying to coordinate stuff, and it works. And he does. I felt bad for the character. I'm like, oh, poor guy, but you know what? He's putting the work in. He's doing his job. The more I see of Joe Grant, the more I feel like, and maybe this is my misperception, but I really feel like a lot of the fandom regarded Joe as, eye candy. As like, I don't think really anybody denies that she has good performance chemistry with John Pertwee, but I really feel like a lot of the fandom has regarded her as a little bit of a ditz. She's really not. And this episode is kind of a good example of that. Not that it's like she's especially exemplary in what she does, but just you can tell she's been around the Doctor enough to pick up a fair number, at least a working understanding of a lot of the concepts that, yeah, sure, earlier in her appearances, she was a bit more, needed a lot more explained to her. But by this point, like, she can get the first few steps there on her own. And then the Doctor, probably needs to explain what the new stuff is that she doesn't understand. But I feel like with her journey across her time as the companion, it really is a case of like, yeah, she didn't know a lot at the start because she doesn't have that background of knowledge. But as she's had these experiences, yeah, no, she gets it. She figures it out. It's just she still has a lot more to learn. So Jo continues to acquit herself quite well. She's one of a couple of companions I've been really pleasantly surprised that their watching them in stories has just not been what I expected. Given their reputation or appearance. Leela is kind of the other big one. Leela's fantastic. That's a Fourth Doctor companion, but like not at all what I expected. She is phenomenal. I really love her. But anyway, so coming back to this, the supporting cast is solid as well. The guy who plays the controller, like there's a little bit of conflict with him, but otherwise he is largely a really strong, sort of. Dictator is the wrong word because he's not at the top of the heap, but that higher end fashy kind of dude. Yeah, he's good for that. The episode tries to give him a little bit of a redemption at the end. I mean, my notion is still like, screw that guy, but it acknowledges him as a human being who maybe is starting to accept that, like, oh, I did screw up, didn't I? So that works pretty well. The Daleks, as I said, they're just there. They're just there to be loud and yell exterminate at the end of the first episode, the second episode, and the third episode, right at the cliffhanger. That's legit just about all they're here for. Oh, the other thing is this is the introduction of the Ogrons, which... okay, I'd heard of these things. I'd never seen a story with them. They are just big... lumbering, like they look like ogres or orcs, like from J.R.R. Tolkien or something, and they are large, they are dark skinned, they are big brow. This is a bit of racial coding, and it doesn't help that they are pretty much straight up described as being just intelligent enough to order around. And I think it's even noted by the Doctor, like, you brought them in because human beings realize that what you're doing is bad and they won't take your orders, but the Ogrons will. And also the Ogrons have literally no lines at any point. So, yeah, it's not super comfortable. Yeah. I'm just gonna go with that. And again, like that, they feel like they're just there for the sake of there being an alien who is in the scenes that the Daleks aren't. And that really seems to be it. Like, there's no need for that. Like, it could have just been military police. Like, it could have just been big, brawly dudes. It could have been humans. I guess it would have been harder for them to make the point, like, oh, humans are too smart to do this. But again, like, given the racial coding, that point kind of lands weird anyway. So, yeah, not a fan of them. I think they show up in some other stories, but I'm not looking forward to that if and when that happens. I think that's pretty much all the points I wanted to hit. Like I said, it's a solid little story. While there's some fall downs in some of the specifics, I appreciate the overall political points it's making. Like most of the Third Doctor's era, it is not subtle. Third Doctor was first of all, woke as hell, even by today's standards. Second of all, not subtle, really in your face with the politics, and this is as well, but it's taking political stances that, by and large, I'm like, yeah, yes, please. So, I don't have a problem with that. And John Pertwee delivers it real well. Like, there's always a real sense of conviction from him that helps sell this stuff. But yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. Day of the Daleks. You seen this? What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living, even if you can't help me out that way. Like, share, subscribe. They all help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lutfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Don't worry, the rats are all fine, but my rat wrangler is not here right now, and I thought we could have Archie say hi. Or not.